Hey, Stan the Urban Survivors Man. Now most of the videos you see me do are about self-defense, tactical martial arts, knife fighting, stick fighting, guns, firearms training, tactical team training. But today one of the most important things about survival is having food and water storage. Now a lot of people say, they've said to me many times, I don't need to store food, I just have guns and I'll just take what I need when the apocalypse happens. Well, you've got to remember that statement is totally intellectually bankrupt. Think about it. The people that are storing food are most likely the people that hunt, have a lot of guns, and know how to use them. So I don't know if you want to get in a gun battle with them, especially during an apocalypse when you can't go get treated for your gunshot wounds, or your dog bites, or the club upside the head. So right now, we're going to talk about food preservation. I'm going to show you how easy it is to can carrots in a pressure cooker canner. And these work great. My kids love them. So instead of talking about knives and swords and guns and stuff like that, we're going to talk about canning carrots. So obviously you got carrots. These come right from the ground. You can get them from a grocery store. You also can get large bundles of carrots at some grocery stores that are made for juicing. They're not perfect, but they make great for canning and stuff like that. So before we start, we've got our bottles. They've gone through the Santa cycle in the dishwasher. You need to take your lids and go boil those to sterilize them. So that's what we're going to do. So here we are in our canning room. We're going to fire up the burner here. Throw the lids in. I like to alternate them so that they're easier to pick up with the magnet. And you throw them in here and get them nice and hot to sterilize them. Now, a lot of people will peel their carrots. My mom always taught me that, some of the best vitamins are in the peels. So if you brush them really well, if you clean them really well with a very stiff bristled brush, get them all clean, that works. Now we're ready to slice them up and put them into the jars. So to slice them up, I don't recommend using a two-handed sword. This is more of a bludgeoning device. So this is not the best way to cut your carrots. Also, Germanic mace and a war hammer are not advisable either because these make great tools for mashed potatoes, but not so much for cutting carrots. So I like using a katana. This one's one of my favorites. It's really good at chopping carrots, but you got to make sure you don't chop your hand off too because you get a lot of swing going on with these. I also prefer to use a stainless steel blade. So this is also good because then you're chopping up your carrots and you're not really making too much of a mess with the blade. You're not getting it all messed up. Or you can use a smaller implement like this Laplander machete. This is a great tool for chopping carrots. Just watch your fingers. Once you slice up the carrots, put them into the jars. All right, before I start cutting carrots, I've got some water boiling, and I'm going to put in some Himalayan salt. That's what we like. You can use table salt. Sometimes you can put in other spices if you like, but for just basic canning, I like putting a little salt in the water. There it goes. And you get that hot because that's the mixture that's going to go into the cans of carrots. All right, when you're done with chopping up the carrots, you've got to next shake them down so that they settle, and then put them in your sink so you can pour in the hot water. All right, now you take that hot boiling water with the Himalayan salt or your regular salt, and you pour it into each one of these jars. And then you've got to use a knife to make sure you get the air bubbles out. So just slide it down in there, get the air bubbles out. Because you want a ½ inch of space from the jar to the top of the lid for expansion. All right, now bring the bottles over while they're still nice and hot. Wipe off the lip of each bottle to make sure you get a good seal with a very clean, hot, sterile cloth. And then put your lids on with your handy dandy little lid magnet. Now you put the rings on that hold the lid in place. Put them down fairly secure. You don't want to over tighten them, and nor do you want to have them too loose. Now for most fruits, jams, applesauces and stuff, you can use a cold pack canner. But for vegetables, you need to use a pressure cooker because the heat is much greater in a pressure cooker. And so it kills all the enzymes and all the bad things in the vegetables. So you need to use a pressure cooker. Now you need to put about 2 to 3 inches of water in the back. A lot of people are afraid of using pressure cookers because yes, they can blow up and ruin your kitchen and or your holiday. But they're great. They're fast for cooking stuff and they work wonderful. Once you get used to using them, they're simple and not a problem at all. So you've got your 2 inches of water, fire up the heat.
Other one.
Thank you. Get the heat going, and we're going to place our bottles in here. Now when you place your bottles in here, it will hold up to 7 jars. Right now I'm only doing 6. But just make sure that the bottles are not touching the edge of the pot, especially when you're cooking with gas. When you're cooking with gas, the sides of the pressure cooker get hot first. So you don't want to crack any of the bottles. So just place them in there so that they're all spaced out evenly, not touching and not touching the walls. Then you put your lid on your pressure cooker. This is an old reliable pressure cooker I've had for years. Lock it into place. We're going to be using a 15-pound weight because we'll need to cook this for 25 minutes at 15 pounds. Now, remember, you have several safety features here. One, you have a 15-pound weight, and you have 2 pressure relief valves. If this does overpressurize, those will pop usually first so that this thing doesn't explode. But you have a nice gauge, so we'll watch that. So let this heat up, and when we see a steady stream of steam coming out here, then we'll put the weight on. Okay, there you can see I'm just a little bit above 15. So I've turned the heat down a bit. I'll maintain that at 15 pounds. And of course you see the little weight wobbling around a bit. So at 15 pounds we now let it pressurize and cook for 25 minutes. So set your timer for 25 minutes. Okay, the timer has gone off. So shut off the heat and then remove the weight with some tongs or a glove because you do not want to get burned by the pressurized steam coming out of there. It's hot. Now you're going to let that vent until the gauge says 0 and this little pop-up has gone down and there's no more steam shooting out of it. So we're just going to let it sit here and cool off. Alright, notice no steam's coming out. That's popped down. We're at 0 pressure, so it's now safe to open up the lid. Open up the lid, and remember these things are still boiling inside. Watch this. When you pull them out, careful, they're very hot. Still see them boiling. Put them out on a table with a towel so that they don't get shocked by being put on a cold table. Yeah, look, see, they're still boiling inside. That's a good sign. Now you put them out on this towel and let them cool completely. And you should hear all the lids pop. And you always check by putting your finger on the lid and make sure that they don't pop back up. And then you're ready to put it in your storeroom. So the cool thing about canning carrots yourself is that 1, you've got some food storage. 2, my kids love them as far as a vegetable, and they're easy. Just take the lid off, put them in the microwave without the lid or the ring, and you just warm them up, and then you can put them into a bowl, have them for dinner, eat them right out of the jar, put whatever seasoning you want on it, and you've got some steamed carrots for any meal or as a snack. Not really my snack favorite, but hey, that's a quick, simple tip about how to can carrots. It's not that hard.